Y'all ready to watch a movie on slavery, but produced by Tubi? It's wild.
It's 1863 at Hoperville Plantation in North Carolina.
I want them steps clean enough to eat off of when you get done. You hear me?
You know dang well that this big-back Mayo woman finna eat off those stairs. Much later, kids are hiding in a barn from Miss Hattie.
You ain't my mammy. I know I ain't your mammy.
Who did the diabetes contouring on Miss Girl's cheeks? A slave named Rosa raises her 5 sons and 1 daughter alone after her husband died. They are slaves owned by Mrs. Ward. Rosa's 14-year-old daughter, Sarah, tells her brother Henry that she has been talking to Hattie, who is now bedridden, about a plan that will set them free. When she says she needs to go to the big house, Henry disagrees with her plan because Master Ward could take advantage of her.
In the who?
The big house.
In the what?
The big house, Henry.
Hell no, sir.
And here comes Sylvester. He think just 'cause he the oldest, he could tell me whatever he want.
You're not hearing things, and no, I did not add in that smoke detector beep. That's legit in the movie. Sylvester doesn't want her going to the big house either. Sarah so desperately wants to be free, so she starts singing some R&B.
I wanna be free like the wind. Now tell me, where should I go?
Sarah visits Hattie, who is so sick they put Sharpie marks on her teeth, and finds Rosa there with her. Hattie shares with Sarah that her mom made her a beautiful doll for her 7th birthday and told her to keep it close to her, but the late Master Ward later took it from her. Rosa realizes that they're planning to escape and strongly goes against it, fearing they'll all die. Hattie tells Sarah to get into the big house, to study it, and to get her doll. She adds that her mom knew the way to freedom, and the doll has.
Mama!
Then Hattie dies, and people at the funeral are wearing modern clothing like flannel. When Sarah apologizes to Rosa for upsetting her, Rosa tells her that her husband tried to do what she's doing, but he got caught, which led to his death. Sarah argues that, unlike her dad, she and Hattie have a plan, prompting Rosa to reveal that Hattie had told her about the doll when she was 14 too, but she didn't do it. Sarah says she's planning to ask Billy, the overseer, to work in the big house because he seems to like her. Rosa is grossed out by Billy.
That man is nasty. He's ugly and he smells.
Although grossed out, Rosa permits Sarah to execute her plan, and Sarah promises to be careful. Big Back Billy tries to make a move on Sarah, who uses it as an opportunity to ask if she can work in the big house. When he says he'll talk to Mrs. Ward, she flirtatiously thanks him, which pleases him. After Billy leaves, Henry tells Sarah that he and their other brothers, Cain, Stuart, and Philip, support her plan to use a doll to get them their freedom somehow, but Sylvester still doesn't approve. Wait, have y'all ever seen a big back slave before?
I just got on my running shoes. What's the plan?
On her way to get some pine straw, Sarah visits a slave named James, who has just been released after a week of being punished, beaten, and imprisoned in the hole. When he asks if she saw his wife Matilda, she says she hasn't, but she's probably working in the big house. Since James ran from his last plantation, she urges him to do it again and join her plan. He tells her that he got caught because he got tired after clearing 60 miles, and he can't do that anymore because he now has Matilda and their daughter Tilly. Still, she manages to convince him to join her plan with this supposed doll that will help them. Later, a sobbing Sarah shares with Henry that after visiting James, she overheard a drunk Billy saying to himself, through his slurred words, that he didn't mean to kill Matilda, and it was her fault for not listening to him. At dinner, Sarah informs her entire family and Tilly that Matilda is dead, prompting Tilly to cry. Shortly after, a drunk Billy arrives and informs them that Sarah needs to move into the big house at noon the next day. Word soon goes around about Billy telling Ward that Matilda ran and escaped. The next day, Sarah moves into the big house, and she is dressed differently and is told to speak differently. There, Sarah meets maids Eva May, Laura, Augusta, Carolyn, and Luvenia.
That's white folks' ham that I saw you munching on in the kitchen the other night.
Is it called the big house because Mrs. Ward is so big? Stuart confronts Sylvester for talking to Billy, so Sylvester reveals to his brothers that Sarah has been slapped, which Rosa chose not to tell her other sons. When Rosa urges them to pray, Tilly says God isn't real because her parents prayed all the time, but they still experienced cruelty. When Sarah asks Carolyn who Sarabeth is because she heard them talking about a Sarabeth coming to visit, Carolyn says that she is Ward's young granddaughter from her son, Titus, whose mom died from smallpox a few years ago. She says Sarabeth is a good child, as she refuses to call them a derogatory term despite Mrs. Big Back teaching her. When Ward catches them talking, she slaps both of them and tells Sarah that she'll keep an eye on her. Sarah grows tired of Ward's cruelty, the trauma, crying all the time, and her longing for her family. After more than a month, Titus arrives to drop off his children, Sarabeth and Junior. Why Titus look both Asian and Down syndromed. All three of them are kind, sweet, and down to earth, talking to Sarah as an equal. As they wait for Ward, Junior complains to Titus that he doesn't like staying there. When Ward stops Titus from leaving, he tells her that he doesn't like being there because he never approved of what she and his late father did on the plantation for so many years. Ward reminds him that everything they did gave him the comfortable life he has now, so he should respect them. He tells her that she needs to stop her wrongdoings if she wants him to take over, saying the slaves are human beings, not their property. Meanwhile, Billy tells James that Matilda ran away and hasn't been caught yet, so it's either that she's still running or she's already dead. When James deduces that he harmed Matilda, Billy punches him and throws him back to the hole. Sarabeth loves playing hide-and-seek with Sarah, who uses the game as an opportunity for her to familiarize the plan of the house without being suspected. Later, Billy catches Eva May checking out a book while cleaning one of the bedrooms and forces himself on her. Lavinia and Carolyn, who are in the next room, hear Eva May begging him to stop, and Eva May later runs into the room they're in, where she cries. In the hole, James loses hope in God, but the preacher slave tells him that they're going to survive it and God will help them. After Rosa tells Tilly that they will be free someday, a drunk and armed Billy arrives and informs Rosa that Ward needs her in the salt house the next day. When he starts talking inappropriately to her, Tilly yells at him to leave them alone, making him angry. While playing hide-and-seek with Sarah, Sarabeth gets curious if their piano opens, so she opens it, and they both find Hattie's doll. Sarah then asks Sarabeth to hide it for her in case she gets caught. Billy comes to the house and tells Ward that Sylvester got his gun and pointed it at him without saying that Sylvester was just trying to protect Rosa because Billy was trying to force himself on Rosa. Everybody is then forced to watch as Sylvester gets whipped, including Sarabeth. Kane attacks Billy while he's out drinking. Unfortunately, Billy is able to grab his pocket knife and kill Kane. Lavinia secretly tells Sarah that she has figured out her secret after wondering why she volunteered to serve in the big house, and that she saw her with Sarabeth and the doll. Sarah revealed to Sarabeth that the doll would lead them to freedom, but she didn't know how. Seeing all the cruelty they've experienced, Sarabeth supported her plan to leave, but asked that they're going to be friends forever. Shortly after, they found words on the doll's clothes, and Sarabeth taught Sarah how to read and sing them. And this is supposed to help them escape somehow? I don't know. Titus returned, so Billy went to tell Sarabeth that her dad was there to pick her up. He heard the singing, but Sarabeth told him it was nothing and hid the doll before leaving. Lavinia then reveals that she was caught escaping and was beaten by Mrs. Ward because she found out that Master Ward had been forcing himself on her and had fathered a boy named Welcome, who's also in the plantation but doesn't know she's his mother. She tells Sarah that they lock the doors at night and the 3 keys are with Master Ward, Billy, and Welcome. She then gives her Master Ward's key, saying she had it for a while now. Overhearing them, Eva May, Carolyn, and Laura join them and start making a plan. One day, Sarah meets the butler who decides to entertain her with a song.
It's been a while now since I got my boogie on. They call me the butler. I live up on the 4th floor.
The night Mrs. Ward is tired, the maids execute their plan and spike Mrs. Ward's tea with sleeping Ozempic. While Eva May seduces Welcome, Lavinia chokes Mrs. Ward's fat turkey neck to death.
We don't take no well.
Carolyn and Sarah steal things they can use. When Welcome catches them about to leave, Lavinia reveals that she's his mother, prompting an argument that ends with an emotional embrace. However, when Lavinia urges him to leave with her, he refuses and wants to tell Ward. Lavinia gets mad.
What did you do?
But Eva May reminds her that he has Ward's blood too, so they can't trust him. After burning the big house, the slaves start leaving the plantation. In the woods, they encounter a slave named Airy, whom Sarah takes with them despite Henry's apprehensions. While they're resting, Billy, Welcome, and a woman named Johnny are hunting them. So while they run, we are hit with a rap song.
They say I'm bugging, but I'm on my Harriet Tubman, enough of the suffering.
Tubi is diabolical. When Sarah realizes that the doll is lost, Sylvester panics, saying they're all going to die because the doll is gone. Girl, I don't know why they wanted the doll to be so important. To make it worse, Sarah uses Henry's braids as a guide, and soon she finds the tree with a mark. They celebrate being close to freedom, and Sylvester apologizes for being so negative. When Johnny blocks their way, Augusta attempts to swing at her, but Billy shoots her. Protecting Sarah, Sylvester tells Billy that he needs to go through him first. He tells him that they are bigger than just slaves, and that their dad used to tell them when they were kids that they were kings and queens, and that they built the world. When Billy's about to shoot Sylvester, Welcome intervenes and urges him to just bring them all back to the plantation. Billy reveals that he killed Matilda because she was pregnant with his baby, prompting James and Louvenia to charge at him, but the other slaves stop them. Billy shoots at Louvenia, but Welcome takes the bullet for her, resulting in his death. After James is shot, Stuart and Sylvester fight Billy, and Louvenia fights Johnny. When Henry and Stuart take their guns, Billy tells them they'll suffer a worse fate than Nat Turner if they kill a white man. So Stuart fatally shoots Johnny. Billy surrenders and begs them to spare him, prompting Stuart to let Sarah decide. The other slaves tell her to shoot Big Back Billy, and she does. As they celebrate their freedom, Titus appears, looking for the person who killed Ward. Sarah explains that they had no choice, and reminds him of every bad thing they've experienced, asking him to understand, as they just want to be free. She says they're willing to die for their freedom and asks him to spare them and just return to his daughter. Titus sobs and apologizes to Amina, and Sarah mouths Amina to the others, as she doesn't know who Amina is. Stuart points a gun at Titus, but Sarah stops him from killing him.
It sound like drums.
They get to a land called Reger, where they are greeted by the land's people wearing appropriate African clothing.
So beautiful.
The elder speaks to them in another language. The elder tells Sarah that they've waited for her arrival, as she's the one who will lead them into the future. When Sarah holds the elder's hand, she is able to see the future. All the slaves are then magically dressed in rich and colorful tribal clothing, and the elder reveals herself to be Hattie. Sarah is told that her name was Amina, and that she's the Queen of Reger, which means black soil. They're all given back their identity, their true names, language, roots, and purpose. So what did y'all think about this musical slavery movie? A hot mess.
Did you guys enjoy that one? Make sure to subscribe and keep watching for more. I won't judge. You can click here or here.